Oi! So it must have been like, what, 2 weeks now? A week, 2 weeks? And I haven't done a video for ages. Sorry. Sorry guys, I've been busy. I actually haven't bought any horror movies in that 2 weeks or whatever. And I've watched nothing apart from one I'll mention in a sec. But I'm at the top of, I'm at Toowong Cemetery, which is in Brisbane here. I'm just hanging up here because there's a storm coming, where you can see in the background. And so I thought I'd get up somewhere high just to get some of the clouds. It's one of those gloomy old days, and I reckon it could be a hefty storm. I don't know. We've had a few of late, and that's what happens when we come into summer. So it's a good night. It's Friday night. I got the weekend off. Looking forward to it, and a perfect stormy weather night is got to be a good chance for me to watch 2 or 3 horrors tonight. Have a little horrathon. So hopefully you guys can join me in this video, and later tonight back at my place I'll talk about the movies I end up watching. But I guess the only thing I have watched is that full moon picture, Shadow Zone. I watched that in the last week. I hear a lot of, as far as full moon pictures goes, it's pretty stock standard, I thought. I hear a lot of people say it's, one of the best or one of their favourite full moon features. And it's not too bad. It's like an Alien, The Thing sort of rip-off. It's got some okay moments, but all in all, it was a little dull for my liking. But it was okay. It had some good moments, some good effects in the end there. And the only other thing I've bought is AC/DC's new one, Rock or Bust. And man, AC/DC, you all know AC/DC, they don't make a bad album. They're a solid band. Every album's solid. This album's not their best album, but like I said, they've got no bad albums, so you can't go wrong with AC/DC. And I've been enjoying that. I've had it the last few days, and I'm really digging it. So that's about all, guys. I might just show you a few pictures of around here at Toowong Cemetery and maybe the view before this storm hits, and I better get home. But otherwise, I'll see you shortly, and it'll be a bit later in the night, and we'll be watching some horror movies. So yeah, Toowong Cemetery, it sits up on a really nice bit of land, a really big piece of land, overlooking a whole bunch of, Toowong and a whole bunch of Brisbane. There we go. Not really such a bad storm in the end. Just a lot of grey and a bit of rain. That's lovely. It'll make for a good night of movie watching. Yeah, so it was a good afternoon. It's still pretty grey out there. It sort of just sprinkled down for the afternoon, which was really nice with that rain. And it's stopped, but still a bit grey. I just finished watching right now. The credits are rolling. Starmen with Jeff Bridges. I got this because it was John Carpenter, and I thought I'd never seen it before, but actually as I've watched it, I've realised I did watch this as a kid. And it's really good. It's a cool sort of 80s sci-fi adventure. Not an action-packed adventure so much, more of a John Carpenter, slightly more subdued, little bit sad sort of adventure, I guess. It's not, I wouldn't call it bright and breezy and that sort of thing, but I really did enjoy it. It is quite 80s, got some cool sort of 80s synth going on. It's basically about a lady whose husband died, and she gets visited one evening or one night by an alien who takes the form of the husband that's died. And that's a fairly interesting scene, watching the alien take his form. That's quite cool at the start. And then it's basically just a big road trip. The alien then has to find his way back to the mothership, or whatever you want to call it, by the end of the film, within a time period of 3 days. So I mean, in some aspects it's a bit E.T. like, but there's no sort of creature effects or anything particularly. He's mostly pretty well in human form. So it's not out there that much as far as creature effects or anything. There's sometimes some cool sci-fi backgrounds, but it's all sort of a bit more subtle. A little bit more John Carpenter, I guess. But yeah, like I said, I actually remembered there's certain scenes I do recall as a child. The scene with the deer coming back to life and a few things like that. So yeah, it's a cool film, and I remember now enjoying it as a kid. Definitely recommend it. I mean, this is normally a horror channel, but yeah, I just ended up watching this sci-fi adventure. So, and I mean, John Carpenter, you know, Halloween, that sort of thing. It's got that connection there. But yeah, if you've never seen Starman, check it out. If you like Jeff Bridges, if you like John Carpenter, if you like sci-fi adventure, any of those things, it's worth a watch for sure. I mean, the story itself isn't that mind-blowing. It's sort of a story you would have seen in different forms many times over. But Jeff Bridges does a great job acting, and it's just a cool film. Yes, that's probably the end of my Friday night. I've only been able to fit this one film in. I'm pretty bushed, so I think I'm going to go to bed. I won't stop the video though. I think I'll probably, in a few seconds, you'll probably see what I do on Saturday night. Hopefully I'll watch at least one horror or two before the end of this film. So in a second I'll see you, and it'll be Saturday. Oi, so it's Saturday night now, and I'm having a shit fest, having a trauma fest tonight. I'm going to watch probably 2 or 3 trauma movies. I'm actually watching Decapitated right now, and it is terrible. It's typical trauma trash, but it's probably better than some trauma because it's actually so very bad slapstick horror. I'm actually pretty well entertained watching this. It's actually kind of funny in a really bad way. So I'm having a trauma fest, a shit fest tonight, starting with Decapitated. Check it out. It's got some cheesy 90s horror effects, which is sort of like, you know, 80s, 90s horror effects. It's a later 90s film. Like I said, slapstick horror, so it's really bad. You know, kiddie stuff. The humor in it is like kiddie stuff. But it's actually that bad. I'm actually fairly entertained by it. So I'm going to keep watching this now, and I'll see you in a little while. Continue on with me with the shitfest. Decapitated's first. I got a few other traumas. We'll see what I watch next. Okay, guys. I'll see you in a sec. Well, there you have it. I just finished Decapitated. Terrible. Kiddie, child, humour. If you can get over that, it's alright. Bunch of people in the woods getting massacred, cross-dressers. Wow, it's pretty shit. But it entertained me. Next up, Jessica Rabbit. You can see it up there. Hopefully this is as entertaining, if not better, would be great. Let's see. Yeah, so I'm getting almost to the end of Jessica Rabbit. This is a grubby little film. It's not like cheesy trauma. It's on the back it says something about, you know, comparing it to being better than the way Tarantino and Rodriguez did that retro grindhouse feel in the movies that those guys did. And yeah, I agree with that. I think this is got a better retro grindhouse feel than Tarantino and Rodriguez did not so long ago in the last 10 years. Definitely love the vibe of that sort of retro feel is really cool in this. But it's basically about a lady, Jessica, who is their household dog. I don't know how it's come to that point, but it's like brothers, cousins, women and men living in this house along with Jessica. And yeah, they just treat her appallingly, abuse her, treat her like a dog, treat her worse than a dog. She quite literally eats dog food out of the bowl. If she's bad, or when their eye's bad, they chain her up. She goes outside, you know, to do her business, that sort of thing. It's just, it's pretty appalling stuff. But yeah, I've got maybe 15 minutes left of it, and right now I'm looking at the screen. It's some pretty rough stuff going on. So it's not the cheesy trauma so much. It's that really gross sort of grubby trauma. I don't know if you can handle sort of some of that abusive stuff, you might dig this, but it's nasty. It's nasty for sure. Anyway, I'm just about done, and then I'll give you my final thoughts, and we'll move on to the last Troma film I'm going to watch tonight. I'm just making a cup of tea before I do. Well, there you go. That was the end of Jessica Rabbit. She went crazy, wild, rabid, whatever you want to call it, at the end, and took revenge, which was good to see. It's a nasty little film, that's for sure. I enjoyed the way it was shot, though, so not too bad. Apart from the content was a bit rough, I did enjoy it. And finally, last on the agenda is Stuff Stephanie in the Incinerator. Just put it on right now. We'll see how this one goes. Yeah, so I just finished watching Stuff Stephanie in the Incinerator, which is a completely misleading title, a completely misleading picture on the front cover. That's got nothing to do with anything. The picture is not in the movie. The title is, they're never trying to stuff Stephanie into an incinerator. There is an incinerator for about 2 seconds in one scene, but that's it. So it's not typically Troma either. There's no cheesy blood gore. You know, there's bad acting, but it's not necessarily, you wouldn't necessarily have picked it for a Troma film, that's for sure. It's basically, it starts off and a guy gets kidnapped. He wakes up in an old mansion, and there's this weird cross-dressing guy that wants to watch him have sex with this other girl that he's never met in the mansion. It's really odd, really bizarre, and that the first scene is probably my favourite. The whole thing with the transvestite, you know, pushing these two together. It's weird. The whole movie's pretty odd. It was fine. It was you know, mildly intriguing, the whole thing. A lot of odd games and odd twists in this film. It's sort of a film I best not say anything about. You just gotta kind of watch it. It's like I said, it's not totally thrilling. It's mildly intriguing. There's no blood or gore. It just kind of plods along, and interesting to watch once, probably only. Yeah, very strange little film. I haven't seen anything too much like it. Anyway, that was it. That's my Troma Fest, shit fest. Didn't turn out to be as shit as I imagined. Just the decapitated part, which was, like I said, entertaining anyway. So it's a good night. So yeah, that's the end of the video, guys. Thanks very much for watching. It's been a good weekend. Good to get back and watch a few horrors. And hopefully I can keep it up in the next few weeks. And you should see a video from me hopefully before Christmas. Okay, guys. Thanks for watching. See ya.